Look at this image. Watch what happens after my grade. That's the difference between fear and control. You don't know where to start with color grading. You are questioning if you did too much or too little. Lots you buy keep lying to you because there are translation tables restricted by the color information in your frame. If you don't have those colors, you can't create anything. Today, I'm showing you PFA Color Suite, an 11-in-1 plugin that replaces note trees, qualifiers, and guesswork with a systematic workflow built on 32-bit float math. It works across DaVinci, Premiere, and After Effects. Let me show you 6 steps using 3 shots with completely different lighting. First problem. How do I isolate color and change it to any color I want? Color Slider brings HSL logic into the slider form, running on 32-bit float math. Here is the difference. Traditional qualifiers creates edges because you are selecting pixels. That drains your GPU power and creates flickering mask. We are changing how the color space interprets the image at the root. When you click the mask visualization, you see exactly where the software recognizes each color. Look at this frame. Our skin tone by human logic is yellow, but the software actually recognizes as red. That's a huge difference. Once you see the red mask, you can then shift the hue instantly. You will have all the channels: red, yellow, green, cyan, blue, magenta. This is HSL on steroids. For example, I want to build a golden look. I can highlight cyan inside the shot, increase the cyan range, and tell DaVinci this color is cyan. Then I shift all the cyan globally into the golden tone. That instantly creates a dynamic shot. I can use global saturation to create warmth, and immediately we are shifting the entire color space. Look at how drastic the change is with just one single tool. We can do this to every single channel. Reduce the skin range, shift it further towards the golden tone, and we have set up a teal and orange look right away just with Color Slider. Next problem. It still looks very digital. How do you get that cinematic color depth that you see in Hollywood movies? We invented movie density. Traditional saturation spreads your vector scope and increases luminosity. Your image gets brighter and saturated. Film uses dyes that blocks light. As you add more color, less light passes through and it gets darker. For true density to work, saturation has to happen and luminance has to drop. Watch what happens in movie density. We have the same masking system built in. Look at what I do when I increase the density. It adds cinematic depth instantly. Watch how it spreads our vector scope. Now turn on your scopes and look at your waveform. When we increase saturation, the entire waveform drops. That's true film density. If you adjust saturation without affecting brightness, you are not creating filmic density. With this single slider, I made a huge change, and I still have the luxury to go down to each channel to refine how I want the color depth to work. Red less dense, yellow denser, you still have the ultimate creative control. Look at just this one adjustment. We added a cinematic language right into the frame. Now we have a strong look established. Look at our before and after. It's drastically different. But here is the question that breaks everything. What destroys an image no matter how good your grade is? Skin tone. If the skin is off, the entire grade fails. That's how harsh it is. Most tools don't solve this. They give you color wheels and qualifiers, but they don't give you a dedicated skin solving system. We built a skin tone map into PFA Color Suite. It maps the entire image into orange, yellow, and blue zones. The traditional systems runs into problems immediately. How do you isolate the skin without creating edges? How do you even make a clean mask that doesn't flicker? Our system mathematically creates the color zones. Orange is perfectly aligned with the skin tone line at 124 degrees on the vector scope. Turn on the mask, shift the hue until 99% of your skin hits the perfect orange tone. Now, you know you are perfectly aligned with the skin tone line. Next, adjust the density of the skin. It's accurate right on the dot with the skin tone line vector scope. How do you want the skin to look? Fairer or deeper? It's your choice. I choose to make this thing look like this way. See, in 30 seconds, we fix the skin tone instantly. That's how powerful this toolkit is. I can just stop here. With Color Slider, Movie Density, and Skin Match, I've built a very strong look that already surpasses 99% of the tools out there. But I'm going to show you Filmixer, because sometimes the quickest way to build a look is with color crosstalk. Behind these sliders aren't lights. They are reshaping the entire color space. Look at what it does. It creates drastic isolation to the image color tones. Magenta and green, yellow and blue. Look at how instantly it shifts our vector scope along the complementary axis. We are not creating artifacts. We are building most organic look right away. It makes our grades more linear along the color palette we want. Behind the math are RGB channels with 3 outputs each, 9 outputs in total to form any color we want. I normalize everything, so skin tone stays locked in the center. Unlike traditional color mixers where you have to manually balance values to be equal to 1, I remove the complexity. Next problem. How do you add color to limited palettes without destroying the look? Film printer lights with shadow and skin protection. Black areas in the mask unaffected. I want nostalgia in this vintage building. Increase green, increase yellow, done. Look how it reshapes instantly. One modern, increase blue, cyan, reduce yellow. Different tonality. You shoot at noon, but you want the golden hours look. This recreates it. But what really makes film look like film? The roll-off. Film tonal curve raises the black point, creates milky shadows, reduce the white point, increase highlight roll-off. That's the filmic dynamic range. One split toning, film split tone. Rotate the shadow hue, target only at the shadows, rotate highlight hue, different colors in the highlights and shadows. Final problem. Your video is too clean. Normal grain plugins have a flat overlay feel. They sit on top of your image like a texture. Film grains reacts differently to highlights, midtones, and shadows based on the chemical processes. Our film grain uses stochastic noise. That's a triangular distribution that mathematically matches silver haloid crystals in celluloid. We sum 2 independent high-frequency hashes to create a Gaussian bell curve quality at the computational cost of a simple addition. Organic film grain at 24 frames per second playback. Some tools sell for $999 just for grains without the technology. Here is the key. It's 3-dimensional. I can change the shadow response, mid-tone response, highlight response respectively. So we are creating a 3-dimensional grain system. It doesn't look like an overlay. It lives inside your image like real grain. Grain density increases in shadows, decreases in highlights, just like the film stock in the lab. Next, sharpen. Real film sharpening should look glassy rather than linear. Native DaVinci sharpen tools looks artificial. It ruins the image. Why? Digital sharpening uses unsharp masks. It creates halos, while lines around the edges are looking cheap and TV-like. Our solution introduces 3-dimensional physics. When I increase sharpen strength and radius, it naturally pops. Here is how. We extract the details from the luminance channels only. This prevents color fringing. Then the glassy secret. Standard sharpening adds each detail linearly. PFA passes the detail through a hyperbolic tangent sigmoid. Small details are boosted, but high contrast edges that would halo are rolled off very smoothly. That's the result you see in master primes. Look at the before, look at the after. You can save thousands of dollars upgrading a lens trying to achieve this physical sharpness. But we use math to create this physics. I won't say it's 100%, but it's 90% there. People can believe you shot on G Master lens and nobody will know it's wrong. That's the power of this sharpening combined with grain and all these effects we have built, we still can play back in 24 frames per second because our tool is built entirely on 32-bit float math. Now, the preset system. I save this as a preset of 0125. Load it on another shot, one click. The entire look transfers instantly because we are working on math, not LUTs. This is 32-bit float. You can work backwards. Don't like the shirt color? Go back to the slider, change the hue, reshape it, all in few clicks. This is a compound result of 40 sliders movement. So watch this. I open Premiere and After Effects. Same preset, everything works. Cross-platform. Color slider to movie density to skin match to tonal curves and grains. You know where to start and where to end. You are not guessing. That's the difference between fear and control. Right now, we are offering this at $199, normally $299. But after next week, it goes back to $299 when official Adobe integration launches. Eventually, $399 when Final Cut comes and the reference image AI drops. Early buyers and lifetime buyers access to all future upgrades. Get the discount before the next week's price increase. Link below, try out the free trial you can test out. all the features risk-free. I'm Nash, Passion Fuels Ambition. I will see you in the next one.